We'd like to remind and encourage everyone to contribute to our leaf pile, the Loose Leaf Media email, where you can send us questions, request ideas for new episodes, leave feedback, or just engage in whatever way suits you. You can send any comments to the leaf pile at looseleafmedia95@gmail.com. That's looseleafmedia95@gmail.com. The email is available directly in our bio. Just write leaf pile in the subject line and we'll swiftly respond.
Additionally, feel free to leave any comments on whatever platform you're listening to us on. This includes Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Podcast Index, and YouTube. You can search Loose Leaf Media on each of these respective sites or click on the redirection link on our public website. Also, follow our Instagram at Loose Leaf Media for updates on when to expect new episodes and forthcoming projects we have in development. Feel free to DM us on our Instagram page directly with any requests or feedback. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Well, Ro, we are back. It's been a couple weeks now since people have heard from us. We've been doing things. We've been doing the most, but we did record something that we have to release here pretty soon. But hi, welcome back, everybody, to the Loose Leaf Media Podcast. As always, my name is Davis Leaf. I'm here with my co-host
Romanus.
And today we are gonna just kind of jump right into it because we've been pretty excited all weekend to talk about this movie, and it is called Longlegs. Maybe because of all the just abundance of marketing, you may have heard about this film because it's been going pretty hard with its marketing campaign over the past couple weeks, and it's been pretty popular in conversation all weekend. But we saw it on this past Thursday night, and boy, oh boy, this was a film.
Yeah, I'm usually not into horror movies, but this was a spectacular film to see.
I would absolutely agree. I thought this movie was just terrific, honestly. Mm-hmm. I was already looking forward to it. It was a little bit more obscure. I had no idea this movie was even coming out until like maybe a month or two ago.
Same.
When I started seeing like some posters, some very ominous posters being released for this film, and I was like, what is this? What is this about? Had no idea who the director, Osgood Perkins, was at the time. And then I started to look into them a little bit more, and turns out they are the son of Anthony Perkins, mm-hmm. who played Norman Bates in Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho.
He also was the guy that got slapped in Legally Blonde.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like, I was looking, I was like, this motherfucker looked familiar.
We did see, when we went to see this at the Alamo Drafthouse, Alamo Drafthouse Theater, and we saw a lot of promotional stuff of his past work before he started really diving into the creative filmmaking space of his career. And we saw that clip from Legally Blonde when he got slapped, and I was like, wait, that was him.
That was him. He's had a very interesting career. Now he's making horror movies.
Now he is making horror movies. He's made a couple of films over the past 10 years or so that have also been in the horror space, but unfortunately I haven't seen any of them. Mm-hmm. So this was my introduction to him as a filmmaker, and I'm sure many people out there will be able to relate to this, just because he hasn't been as widely marketed. His films haven't felt like they've been as widely marketed like this one has. And I don't know entirely what made this one so special, but once you watch the movie, it makes a lot more sense because this movie does feel like something special. It feels like the makings of a instant cult classic in a lot of ways.
Wow. Yeah. Well, and to be honest with you, I saw the trailer maybe a month ago, mm-hmm. and it got me hooked immediately. Just the constant flashes from just different scenes within the movie, mm-hmm. and then you see the movie, and it's, in my opinion, as scary as it was advertising to be. Maybe some people will disagree when they see it, but I was completely hooked to this movie from start to finish.
No, same. This is a legitimately frightening movie. I think the expectations that had been set for this movie for a lot of people were in the marketing, where you would see a lot of posters or a lot of like commercial ads that would say, highlight reviews that were saying, this is one of the scariest movies you're ever going to see, scariest movie of the decade, etc. And then people go into the film with those types of expectations, and they're like, I'm expecting to watch a movie that's like going to scare me more than anything I've seen, or this movie is nothing like I've ever seen before. And some people, I think, have walked away feeling a little cheated or disappointed because it didn't meet those expectations that they felt they were conditioned to have. And I think this was a really good case study in managing your expectations in a lot of ways, because we've talked about this before, because clearly we're talking about a little bit more horror now on the podcast, and horror, like comedy, is so subjective in terms, like, just because what's going to scare somebody isn't going to scare somebody else, and what somebody's going to find funny is another person isn't going to find funny. And so you go and watch this movie, and it doesn't meet the expectations of scaring the living shit out of you like you're meant to believe it should. But watch this movie and tell me that this isn't terrifying. This doesn't feel claustrophobic, frightening, and has imagery like you've never seen before. And that's exactly what I got out of this movie, and that's exactly what I wanted.
Let me read a summary before we get too far along in the review. Please do,
because we're really not going to go into a lot of spoilers with this film.
No.
Because it's really best that you watch this movie with a fresh mind.
We both recommend you go see it. It's
highly
a phenomenal
recommend
movie.
seeing this movie.
And we already have planned on going to see it again.
Like, we want to go see this a second time because it's so in detail oriented. It's so enriching in its detail. So
right. Longlegs tells the story of Lee Harker, a young, gifted FBI agent tasked with investigating a string of murders committed by a serial killer who calls themselves Longlegs. Lee Harker must solve clues influenced by Satanism to stop Longlegs from his killing spree.
Yep, and that's probably just as much as you need to know for this movie.
and maybe that's even saying too much, because even the preview doesn't give up a ton of details. And so I still came into this movie very fresh. It definitely scared me a lot more than I thought it would, because I was anticipating more of a crime thriller. But
and it has those qualities to it, like in spades, but it does it in such a frightening manner. Like, there's a lot of comparisons that you can easily draw that many people have said probably by this point to Silence of the Lambs, or Seven. And Silence of the Lambs, I say, is a little bit more of a horror film than Seven is, where Seven feels like it's like a noir mystery in a lot of ways, but both of them have disturbing imagery and very flashy and scary sequences. Where this definitely works as a perfect hybrid between a mystery thriller and just a straight horror movie.
And I'll even put another comparison to this movie. I was telling you yesterday how it feels like this movie felt like if Kubrick directed Silence of the Lambs, where there's a lot of influences from those two movies, like you said, but even visually, it does feel like The Shining in a lot of ways, where there's the door frames are really framing the shot, and there's a lot of wide angles,
the negative space that exists in the shots.
It makes it feel eerie. You feel like there's something about to. You're anticipating something to happen in the background behind the character that's being focused on in the shot.
There's one particular shot in this movie that I just remember where Lee Harker, who first of all, shout out Mika Monroe's performance as Lee Harker in this movie.
Absolutely.
One of the best lead performances of the year so far.
Okay.
I would actually like to see, like, they won't do this, but I think she's Oscar worthy in this movie. I think she is spectacular. So that shot was just like, she's just sitting at a desk basically in her home, and like the right frame of the shot is like focusing in on this like open door that leads into the kitchen, and it's so highlighted, and there's so much great lighting in the second half of that shot, and you just expect something to happen right there because it's just opening up. She's not the center frame in the shot, and so you expect something to come out of that door frame or something and make you jump and surprise her as a character. And this movie does a lot of shit like that.
And even in that shot, in that you're talking about one half of the background, where the other half is her like hallway to her front door that she just raced to for I won't spoil the movie, but like just there's a lot going on in the background of every shot, and so your attention, it almost feels like you're so lost in the atmosphere that this movie is creating that you can even lose yourself in the story. Where like Lee Harker is reading something at her desk and it's very important to the story, but the background is so creepy that it's unnerving.
It's so unnerving, and like you can call it atmospheric horror or something like that, but the movie has so much it's such a dense script because it's a mystery thriller, and this is part of the reason why we want to see it again so badly, because it's very concise. It's only like an hour and 40 minutes long.
Right.
The pacing is exceptional, and it's got I love my chapter structures. It's got that chapter structure to it, and so that made me happy. But it also like helped the pacing move along very well. But it never sits. It's always feeding you information. In terms of like the mystery that's trying to be solved. It's always giving you new clues and details that you're following along Lee Harker as the detective with. And you just, like a great mystery thriller, everything slowly just starts to get pieced together until at the very end, everything is kind of culminating and revealed. And you want to go, it makes you just want to go back and rewatch it from the beginning and notice those clues that were hidden in plain sight the entire time. To see how they were going to connect to the story before Lee Harker makes the connection for herself.
Right.
And that I think really makes for a good mystery thriller, for wanting you to come back and reevaluate it for a second time to see it through the lens of knowing the answer.
Yeah, you make a great point. I have thought about this movie, and it does feel like on one hand you're focusing on the mystery that Lee Harker is solving. She's going through clues that the serial killer Longlegs has dropped at every crime scene that he's been involved with.
Yes.
And on the other hand, there are parts of the movie where it does focus on Lee Harker and her past and just memories that she's repressed for some reason that you don't know why. And everything is, coming together bit by bit. But there's so much going on in every scene and every frame that there's the atmosphere that the director's trying to create in the background. Then there's Lee Harker that's obviously reacting to this mystery. There's obviously some parts of the mystery that she's resonating with, and then there's the actual clues that you're trying to pay attention to.
Absolutely.
So there's this movie's very stimulating in many ways.
In many ways, and it also allows for you to feel like you can you can't let your guard down watching this movie.
No.
And we learned that within the first 10 minutes of this movie.
Shit, the first 5.
Yeah, the first 5. There's just like no spoilers again, but there's just like there are moments within the very short period of time after this movie begins that make you feel like you can chill, you can watch the story slowly build up, but nope. Things take off pretty quickly and things get intense very quickly. You know
what? Even with Michael Monroe's performance is really fantastic, like you said. And what I think about during the movie was, even though the character is scared herself, right? Like she's just this, skinny, maybe unassuming detective. Smaller than everybody around her, and she's going through these very intense scenes where anybody would be scared, and she's obviously anxious. She's like shaking,
of course,
but she relies on her FBI training to get her through these moments when she's pursuing a suspect or navigating these creepy houses and entryways, and so it's that dichotomy that I found was like really carried through well through her performance of Lee Harker.
I would agree. I was kind of surprised. I was, well, not surprised, but I was just reassured how three-dimensional of a character she was throughout the movie, too. Because for a lot of detective stories, too, they can make the detective feel very, very, absent-minded, jaded,
Sure.
and just like that. And that makes for a really good like noir mystery in a lot of ways, where your character is very morally ambiguous. But this character is easy to sympathize with in a lot of ways.
Sure.
You like watching her go through the motions and solve this mystery, and she's got very, very unique characteristics as well.
Yeah, I would say that Lee Harker is much different from Clarice from
Is it Deering or Darling?
I think Darling.
Darling from Silence of the Lambs. Yeah.
But she's different from Clarice from Silence of the Lambs because the focus in Silence of the Lambs is on the mystery, even though you do learn a lot about Clarice as a person, especially through the eyes of why am I blanking on Anthony Hopkins, Lecter,
Hannibal Lecter,
Hannibal Lecter. We do learn a bit about Clarice, but the focus of the movie isn't on her or her character. Where I feel like
I would agree,
like this movie, Longlegs, the primary focus is Lee Harker.
Exactly.
And although we don't learn a lot about her character, we learn a ton about her history.
Absolutely. And it's very crucial to the entire story.
Right.
And so for a movie that's it kind of it kind of flips it away on its head and establishes itself as a very different story compared to something like Silence of the Lambs, where you have the movie titled Longlegs, named after the serial killer in the story, and then it's vehemently, almost exclusively about Lee Harker.
Right.
Like, she
exactly.
is the main character.
She is.
She is the protagonist. She's like, the de facto hero, I guess, of the story, too. Because obviously we're not going to sit here and cheer on the fucking serial killer in the 1990s.
We're not?
No.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there might be a version of this somewhere out there where somebody's like, you know what? Longlegs.
He was right.
Jesus
Christ.
So, with that in mind, I don't want to, touch too much on this, but Longlegs himself,
played by Nicolas Cage.
Played by Nicolas Cage, also an exceptional and very, very memorable character. There's a lot. See, some of my favorite things in detective mystery stories are when the character is caught, or the killer or suspect is caught, and you get to see just a one-on-one interrogation moment between the detective that's tracking them and the actual perpetrator of the murders,
right.
i.e. the serial killer. And we get that. We get a moment like that in this movie, and it's one of the best and most satisfying moments in the movie. But even that, this movie thrives off of constantly subverting your expectations. And even by the end, it's hard to feel like you understand everything, because there are
Absolutely.
Qualities to this film too that make you question what was real and what was fake, what was, I don't want to say supernatural, and what was just tangible. And it's great. There's it's great. The level of ambiguity that they just kind of let exist in this movie and let you draw your own conclusions to are just enough for you to not feel frustrated for not giving you all the answers by the end.
Yeah, and I don't know how much we should go into Nicolas Cage's performance as Longlegs.
Yeah, I don't want to give too much away, because he's got a decent amount of time in the movie.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He's
yeah.
I mean, his presence is always felt, which that's kind of just one of the more horror elements of the film, where it's you always feel like Longlegs might be lurking somewhere, because he's it's a mystery thriller, so he's kind of pulling a lot of the strings and constantly evading everybody's efforts to catch him. But he's great in the movie, but his character, you just got to go and see it for yourself.
Yeah, I would say that Nicolas Cage pretty much hams it up in this movie.
Yeah.
He's giving a Nicolas Cage performance, but it does work.
It works for this movie.
It works for this movie.
Because it's supposed to be a very out of touch character.
Yeah.
That doesn't fall in line with any of the normal kind of characters in this movie.
Yeah. I would. And do you see Longlegs in the preview? Yeah, right?
None of the previews I saw. I only saw one preview, I think, and they didn't show him.
Okay,
there may have been a flash frame of him, or like a part of his face or something, but not a full frame of what he looks like.
Yeah. Well,
and I think it's best
Not
to see that reveal
Sure.
when you see the movie.
Well, go see Longlegs, everybody.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in any case, still Nicolas Cage. I mean, everyone gave a really nice performance.
Blair
in this
Underwood
movie.
is really good in this
Blair
movie,
Underwood
too.
is
Like,
fantastic.
his performance is great, like as a very respectable and commanding superior officer to Lee Harker's character.
Mm-hmm.
And his role by like the last act of the movie in the last chapter and the acting he does is pretty exceptional.
Alicia Witt is Ruth Harker Lee's mother.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Excellent performance.
She's
there,
used very sparingly in the movie, but whenever she's on screen, it's like you see different people. It's fantastic.
And who is that? You said
Kiernan Shipka, baby.
Yeah, from Mad Men, right?
From Mad Men.
That's
She played Molly Draper for all you Mad Men fans.
Yeah,
like myself.
Yes, you are a big, like, I'm gonna watch that show one day, I promise.
No,
but
she plays Carrie Ann.
She's got like one scene in the movie.
One scene, but she steals it.
Kills it.
Yeah.
There's like a long one-take monologue essentially that she does in this movie, and it's so captivating. And I gotta admit, so I actually had to leave the theater briefly because I had to go to the bathroom, and I don't know why I didn't prepare for this.
It must have been an emergency because Davis never does that.
I don't do that.
Wow.
I like if you think about the things that I shame myself for in life,
Right.
that would be top 3
Oh
when
my
I
God.
leave the theater in the middle of a movie to use the bathroom.
Wait, quick list. Top 3 things that shame Davis.
I couldn't give you a list right now.
Okay, but one.
I know
one
that
of
that
them,
would be top 3 though.
Is it at least 1 or 2?
You mean what, the bathroom break I took?
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about that.
Okay. Fair. Well, look. Oh, no, not a piss or a shit. It's like in your top 3.
Well, that's what I thought you meant.
In your top 3, do you think that you're not in your top 3 things that you're most ashamed of is leaving the movie theater? You treat the movie theater like
it's a temple.
It's
a and I don't like it's obviously it's disturbing to me when I have to leave, and it's like I gotta walk in front of people, and it's disturbing them too. Nobody wants that.
Like,
yeah,
I'd be pissed off.
I would be pissed off too.
Yeah,
and so I don't like having to do that. And apparently, I left when there was some pretty crucial information being filled, which is why it's like this movie's shorter. It's like a lot shorter than you'd expect.
Yeah.
It's only an hour and 40 minutes. And so that's why I was saying it's like this movie wastes no time giving you the details that it needs to give you, and it's great for that reason. But I'm so pissed off that I got up and left for a couple minutes, and I know that I missed some details. And then you says, like, thank God you like clued me in by the end of the movie too on what I missed.
Well, it's like you said. There's only 100 minutes in this movie, but every minute is so important. There's always something happening in the background with like shadows and
oh my God, the shadows,
props, and there's the negative space, like you said.
Yeah, can we talk about like the production design a little bit more too?
Jesus,
because there's like there's so many intentional choices on the production, like the production designer, like the way that he like not just frames things but constructs some of the sets.
Yes,
there's like a lot of triangular, rectangular shapes that are used a lot in this movie, and then you see actual visual representation of why those things are important to the story, and then you continuously see Lee Harker find these clues. I don't want to give too much. I don't want to give too much away.
We're just there's a lot of triangles and circles and boxes.
Just keep your eyes open for a lot of that imagery in this movie.
No, you're right though. There's no this movie's so intentional, and but at the same time very vague. It's not gonna force feed you information. It challenges the audience to keep up.
Absolutely,
and I actually like that.
It's very smart too. It's a very smart movie, and it trusts the audience enough to follow along and be paying attention. But at the same time, it wants to serve up some really, really, really satisfying scares. Like there's like horror fans should be satisfied with this movie too. Just because there's like maybe 3 or 4 like legitimate jump scares in this movie. But
I would say, well, so legitimate in what way? Because
that's meant to make you jump out of your seat.
Okay, then I agree, because I definitely jumped out of my seat. And
I love your reactions to jump scares.
It was just a fucking I was cursing like a sailor.
I know you let it fly.
I was just like, hey,
but like that to me. Like you're not like it's not disturbing because it shows me, and I would hope the same for everyone else. The movie's doing its job.
Oh man,
you're just like a jump scare happens, and you're like, oh, with the bejeebies,
bro. So I'll even tell you. So during this movie, there's definitely stuff that just comes out of nowhere. And not even in the way of just a jump scare, it's just unexpected things that happen that make you go, oh, okay.
Facts.
Now we're at Alamo Draft House, and if you've ever been there, you will know that people serve food at the Alamo Draft House. So there's waiters coming around, and they're
oh my god, I forgot about that.
Oh, dude, I was just incensed when this happened. So like. At the end of the movie, they are starting to give people, receipts for the food that they had purchased. And I had, a fucking milkshake. So the guy comes up to me during like a really scary part of the movie. And he's ducking though to just make sure that he's not obstructing the screen. Yeah. So he comes over and hands me the receipt, and I fucking jump out of my chair.
Because one of the craziest jump scares happened at that moment. I swear to God, the guy that was handing you your purchase receipt jumped too.
Yeah,
he was just
he jumped because I jumped.
I know, and he's like, I gotta get the fuck up out of here.
This big motherfucker, like, I don't know what he's gonna do. Even just there's a lot of moments where there's a jump scare. There's a few jump scares where some action is actually happening, and then there's maybe some jump scares where there's trickery from the director. Where
there's an image in the frame already that you're not supposed to notice until that image is moving. And you know the moment too.
I do.
And holy shit, that got me.
Let's talk about this for a second. The ending, there's a twist to this movie.
Yeah. There's a couple almost. There's like one big finale twist, but like the movie is like it's a mystery thriller, so it's like it keeps twists and turns, but continue.
There's a reveal in this movie, and I would even say it was shocking to see your reaction because usually you're pretty stoic when it comes to watching horror movies. You're
I keep my composure a lot of the times.
You do. You're not like me. But when this moment happens that you're referring to, I've never seen you so shocked, and you were covering your mouth with your hand. And I was like, yeah, this movie is special, man. This is a special movie that we're going to be talking about by the end of the year.
I think so. This is one of those movies where it's like, I've seen some great stuff this year. Mm-hmm. There's been some memorable stuff, but this is one that I've just like, I feel like for like almost 2 months now, I've been waiting to watch. Because I loved Kinds of Kindness a couple weeks ago. That movie was terrific, but I understand a lot easier why people would not like that movie. Mm-hmm. It's easier for me to understand because that movie is really not for everybody. And for a horror movie, yeah, you can easily pigeonhole it and say that it's not going to be for everybody just because not everybody's into horror.
Right.
But I just think that this is such an exceptionally crafted movie in every element. It's not really that off-putting of a concept to grapple with, and the execution is not really that. It's unique. It's just not. It's not so unique that you just feel like it's off-putting. Mm-hmm. I just think this is one of those special movies that everybody should check out at some point. It is going to be something we're going to be talking about at the end of the year, and I think this is one of like the most creatively executed horror films I've seen in actual years. Mm-hmm. It's definitely it's by far the best one I've seen this year. But even now I'm thinking like, damn, I'm thinking all the way back to something like Ari Aster's Hereditary in 2018.
Wow, so you put it up there with that movie.
Well, I
found a lot of success.
Yes, I mean we went and saw Midsommar recently too, and I like to kind of put those together, Hereditary and Midsommar, because they only came out a year apart. Mm-hmm. But when I think about movies over the past several years that have like truly gotten under my skin, truly been like frightening to me, to the point where, like you were saying, I'm sitting there covering my mouth with my hand. I can maybe pick out 5 movies that there's a lot of more horror movies that I've loved, but 5 that truly got under my skin and frightened me over the last since Hereditary or something like that. And Smile, I would say, is another one of them that came out a few years ago. That really got to me too. But this one it's a special one. I really think this is a special film.
Yeah, I think as a person who's not a fan of horror, there's a lot of it's a well-crafted movie, and I can appreciate how well done this movie is.
I agree.
And the storytelling is phenomenal. I love that by the end, what sticks with me and what was the scariest part of this movie wasn't anything gory, wasn't anything violent, but it was the implications of the mystery to the main character and what it reveals about her, what it reveals about her history, what it reveals about, this entire movie. And I think that's what really scared me, was just it made it more personal, it made it realer, right? Like, is there a guy that's gonna come into my apartment and like with a fucking hockey mask and stab me to death? No. But like there was the reveal of this movie was very personal to the main character, and that's what was the scariest moment in the movie for me.
So true. This movie is just it's so cold-blooded. And it's not even just in like any of the violent actions that occur in this movie. It's just, again, atmospherically, it feels just so cold-blooded. Like like you're saying, there's so many instances and moments you can talk about that really emphasize that point. But like anytime we're at like Lee Harker's house, particularly like the first time when she's just kind of going over case files, and you just sit there. And you, for like 10 minutes in the scene, you just really do feel like somebody is watching. Somebody is looking at you right now. And it feels very real. And it feels very personal, like you said. And it makes you, almost in that theater, it's so easy to empathize with that tension. And this movie is constantly playing with just the fear that either is or isn't there. And it makes those points very, very well, I think, from start to finish. And even when you talk about some of the ambiguity and like the themes or the subject matters and the contrast between the tangible and the supernatural, because like you kind of mentioned in the premise for the film, there's a lot of conversation about Satanism in this movie, and no spoilers, but kind of voodoo. It's once again just like we really got to watch this movie again to know. It's just like if it's like ambiguous or if it's just like an overload of information all at once that you're not catching that. No, this movie is making a very strong point with this or that, because it's dense but concise.
Yeah, I would say that might be the only potential issue that people will have with this movie that I can think of. Is that it does feel like it's very ambiguous what genre it is, right? Is it a crime thriller or is it a supernatural thriller? And it does make a change by the third act where it makes a choice. And I think that some people are going to feel lost by it, but I actually appreciated it. I liked it.
It's done like very well. Yeah, by that third act.
And I think that even there was stuff that I did notice in the movie that I think that I'll appreciate more once I watch it again, because you think, oh, did I just notice the shadow move? Just like there's just so much going on in the background where maybe I might want to see it like, 2 or 3 more times. Facts. Because there are a lot of moving pieces in this movie, but it comes together really well.
It's one of those movies where it's like it's just released in theaters, so everybody's just watching it, getting their fresh takes on it. But it's gonna be an analytical piece of like it's gonna be just something that people are gonna examine for years and years and find new details. And I think that's pretty special because, like, even I really loved like the aspect ratios of this film, because it goes from like I think it's like a 25 millimeter or 15 or 25 millimeter aspect ratio. I'll have to recheck into that.
Well, like the square.
Yes,
I think it's like 1.33 to 1.
Is it okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
It opens up like a box basically.
Yep. Like just very, very old style filmmaking in that way, but it's amazing, and it looks really, 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 really good. And the cinematographer is phenomenal in this film.
Yeah.
I don't know who their name is. I didn't look into it, but the cinematographer, they do such a great job in this film. But one thing I love when a movie plays with aspect ratios is when they expand the aspect ratios in scene. And this movie does that a few times, and it's so satisfying, and it makes you feel like you're going from one world existing in the same world to a whole nother world. And it does this with like perspectives, flashbacks, imaginations, and it really utilizes its use of aspect ratios very creatively in this movie. It's a very visually adept film.
Yeah. There's a scene in the movie where the camera's positioned in one room and you're seeing some violence happening in another room, and it's, between, a open door, right? So you're seeing this violent thing happen, and it almost feels like you're watching on a TV, right? Because the door is framing this violence. And then when the action comes towards the camera, it feels like it's just coming in your face, right? For the audience. And also, I don't know if you looked at the box office projections of the first weekend of this movie.
I think
20 million.
Yeah, it's projected to be one of Neon Studios' most successful films right now. And
it's not big budgeted. It's a very small production.
It's around like 10 million or something for the budget.
They're gonna make back the money in one weekend.
Yeah.
My God, that's fantastic.
It's pretty impressive, and it honestly deserves it.
I agree.
Like, it deserves every single thing that it's made. And like, I was looking at like seating arrangements and like pre-seatings for theaters all weekend for this movie, just to kind of get a sense of like how this movie is going to do, because like low budget horror like this don't really do great a lot of the time. And so I was like, man, after we saw this movie, I was like, man, I hope this does good. I really hope this does good. And then I'm seeing so many theaters have entire like showings just completely sold out for this movie. And I'm like, that is great. This marketing worked. Like, that they went hard with the marketing on this film. It wouldn't surprise me if the budget was doubled just for the marketing that they put into the effort that they put into the marketing for this film. But it's definitely going to make its money back, and clearly advertising this as much as they did over the last few weeks really worked and got people in seats. And for me, it was absolutely worth it. If you've been seeing any advertisements for this movie, it's worth going to see.
That must feel nice when you make your budget back immediately. That has to feel amazing.
So, like, Osgood Perkins, he already has a follow-up coming out in January next year.
No kidding.
I want to say, I think it's based off of a Stephen King story.
Now, here's the issue with that.
Yeah.
You say one thing in that sentence that kind of scares me.
Yes.
January.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That kind of scares me.
That's true. The dumping ground of Hollywood.
I mean, that's just the track record. Bad movies, especially bad horror movies, are put out in January.
That's very true. I don't know much about the film. It's also being distributed by Neon.
Okay.
It's written and directed exclusively by Oz Perkins again.
Okay.
But he's adapting a Stephen King story for this.
Okay.
And
I mean, it could be good.
It could be good. I mean, it's got, like, I'm already interested. I'm definitely going to go and check it out, especially if it's his first follow-up after this film.
But this movie is a home run, and I think that he probably, maybe Neon saw Longlegs and decided, no, we're giving you a project now. We believe in this movie.
Of course,
we believe in you. Like, next project. And then the timing just happens to be where it comes out.
Yeah, they're just like, unfortunately, we would have to the release window that we can do it for would be like January.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
January is just not a good time for movies.
It never has been. Like, maybe, like, biannually, there's maybe like one good movie that releases in January.
Out of like maybe 15, 20 movies that whole month.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's
and it's sad just because, no matter how good it is in January, it's not going to be remembered by a lot of people by the end of the year. It's meant to just kind of be the kickoff to the start to the game.
Yeah.
And, you can get a kickoff and somebody can catch it and run straight to the fucking end zone.
Yeah.
And get their first touchdown within the first few seconds of the game. Guess what? People are going to remember how it ends more than they're going to remember how it begins.
Bears Super Bowl 2005. God damn it. God damn it.
I'm glad that you remember. I'm sorry to bring up that trauma.
I'm going to think about that on my deathbed. Like, I'm not going to think about family, friends. I'm going to think about the Bears Super Bowl loss to the Colts.
Well, you got your priorities straight at least.
I know, exactly, right?
Yeah, that's true.
See this movie.
See Longlegs. It also, fun fact, it also, like, it bookends itself with T-Rex.
Oh my God.
There's a lot of T-Rex related things in this movie. The rock band specifically.
Right, yeah. Not a dinosaur.
No, not the dinosaur. The rock band T-Rex. And I don't know if you ever saw the movie Deliver Us from Evil, directed by Scott Derrickson with Eric Bana.
No, I don't think so.
That movie this Longlegs does something similar that they did in that movie, and Deliver Us from Evil wasn't that great, but it has a lot of random motifs that refer to Jim Morrison and the Doors in that movie, and it's kind of charming. But I'm sitting here with Longlegs, and I think that's one of the only things that I'm still perfectly trying to understand. What is with T-Rex being such a huge thing in this movie?
Maybe Oz, whatever his face.
Maybe he just likes T-Rex.
I think he just likes T-Rex. It's his movie. He can do what he wants.
I would do the same thing. Yeah. I love music, and I'd be like, you know what? If I have a favorite musician or band, and I just have the opportunity to make a big movie, and I get to show my love for this band, I'm just going to be like, it doesn't have to make sense. I'm going to put them in here.
Who would you choose?
Who would I choose?
Yeah.
I don't think people want to know that.
Why not?
Okay, fine. It would either be U2.
What?
Yep, that's why I said no, people don't want to know that. It would either be U2 or the Rolling Stones.
Okay, well,
see, I know you're not going to hate on the Stones, but...
Well, thank you, Martin Scorsese.
I don't...
Well, yeah. That's his band.
It is his band.
I thought you were going to say, like, Kendrick or something, or, like...
I mean, for bands, that's what I would choose.
Oh, okay, yeah. Fair.
But, yeah, I would do U2. Mm-hmm. I love the Joshua Tree. It's an incredible album.
Okay. Yeah. I did not know that about you.
Mm-hmm. I really, really love that album.
There's many layers to Davis.
There are.
Just like there are many layers to Longlegs, the movie.
There really are. And yeah, so in conclusion, T-Rex, Longlegs, Osgood Perkins, Mika Monroe.
Fantastic.
Fucking fantastic film. I think by far one of my favorite movies of the year.
I would agree.
I know we're talking like I was saying it's like top 3. It's like this is top 3, I think, of the year. And after another viewing, damn, this could be number 1 for me. Like Dune and Kinds of Kindness are really tough to beat, and Civil War is tough to beat for me this year too. But man, this movie this impressed me. Anytime I go to the theater now, I want to be impressed. And it's not easy to impress. We've seen some great stuff over the past couple of months, and I don't know, man. There's been a handful of films out of the many films I've seen this year that have truly impressed me.
Yeah, I think because it just checks so many boxes. It's visually stimulating. The performances are fantastic. The directing is stylistic. And so it just does everything right. And I'm sure that there's been a few people that have been unsatisfied with the movie. Like you said, maybe it just isn't as scary as they think it should have been or as it was advertised by the trailer. But I mean, I don't think that you can knock I don't think you can knock the performances. I don't think that you can knock how visually incredible this movie is.
Just the sheer quality of this movie. It's just like it may not measure up to your scare factor or whatever, but I just think the level of quality and care that's put into this movie, the precision. You can't sit here and say to me that this isn't a great crime thriller horror film, because I just really think it's indisputable. Like, this feels like an instant classic.
Well.
That is our spiel on Longlegs, and y'all need to go see this movie, like, right now, because some bigger stuff coming up over the next couple of weeks, and it's probably going to get swept under the rug from more mainstream like promotions.
Right.
So go check this movie out. We really love this. This is, I think, both of us kind of feel like this is one of the best movies we've seen all year, like by far. Like I can see a lot of people saying it is their favorite film of the year, and it would be hard to argue and be completely understandable. So
yeah, I think even now thinking about the movies that we've seen this summer, man, it might be. Top 3 of the summer, I would say.
Top 3 of the summer by far.
I mean, we still got some stuff to go, like Twisters. I know you're looking forward to that.
I'm
and
fucking hyped for Twisters.
I'm hyped for Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yep, that's gonna be good.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Alien, just got tickets for Alien next month.
Yeah.
We're gonna do a whole thing on Alien.
Another fucking scary movie.
Yeah, and then it's we've been gone for a couple weeks, and we skipped a couple horror movies. Technically, we didn't see Quiet Place, and you're looking at me like, what the fuck's Quiet Place?
Oh, no, with Lupita. Okay,
Yeah.
Well, I'm devastated that we missed seeing that. That's unfortunate, and unfortunately, we will never be able to see it. But
no, whatever.
But go see it if you want.
I like the first two Quiet Place movies, but I was just like, I don't know. I didn't want to rush to this one. I'll watch it.
Is that with Jim Halpert?
Yeah. He directed the first two.
Jim is directing?
Yeah, John Krasinski directed the first two movies.
I always just call him Jim. Whenever I see people from The Office, I think, I'm not calling you your real name. You're, I'm not. I don't know who you are.
I can't believe I just don't get. How are people this attached to The Office? I'll never get it.
I'm not even attached to the. I'm attached to the first 7 seasons. When Steve Carell leaves, it's just
holy
abysmal.
Shit. That's so many seasons though.
But hey, have you seen it?
I've seen every season of The Office.
Okay, then
I watched it because
what's the deal, Pickle?
I don't like The Office.
You don't like The Office.
I don't like The
Office. You like Community.
I love Community because it's actually clever writing.
And we whoa. And then I think The Office is really toilet humor, like really probably.
It's toilet humor. It's like it's one of those things where I feel like I'm supposed to like most of the characters, and I just don't. I hate almost everyone on that show. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're interesting except for Dwight.
Right.
Rainn Wilson's performance as Dwight is a top tier television sitcom performance.
But He's love great. Always Sunny, and they're all unlikable.
Yes, but that's the point of the show too.
Right.
And the absurdity is also the point of that show. Characters are pretty normal in The Office. They're just all shitty. Characters are not normal in Always Sunny, and they're doing insane things. And that's why I love that show.
So maybe The Office is too close to reality, where people pretend to be good, but we are all actually shitty.
Stop being about Longlegs real quick.
Yeah, I mean, we really are doing an outro.
I know we didn't do an intro this time, but we're just talking about sitcoms.
We're just talking about, because we ended the review at a reasonable time. I'm looking at the clock.
Yeah, we did.
But also now we're bleeding over.
You should watch the Quiet Place movies though.
Why?
Because they're good. They're really well-made movies. The sound design in them is fantastic. There's like the visual effects are great. The story is really compelling. Both part 1 and part 2 are really good.
See, when someone says you really gotta watch this scary movie, it's like, do I?
It's white noise
like,
to you.
you really have to sit in this dark room and be anxious for 2 hours. Yeah. That's what you're telling me.
I guess, yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Never heard it put that way before, but
you really need to be terrified. You gotta go. And pay money to do it.
I don't know. I'm weird. I'm a horror fan. I don't mind that feeling because I know it's not real. So
I know it's not real too, but also I will admit, after Longlegs, it was hard for me to go back to my apartment.
That was one of the. That's what I'm saying. It's just like that's a movie that really frightened me.
I slept with the lights on, just like I'll just
I figured you would. That's why I got you this. I got you this nightlight over here for a gift. Here you go.
No, my nightlight is like 5 lamps, and the bedroom door is open, and the bathroom lights are on. Everything.
That's real.
No, but in all seriousness, no. Honestly, we were so dead tired that I just like fell in my bed. I was like, I don't care who kills me tonight.
I was just like, whatever. Just do it in my sleep.
Exactly. Anyway.
Yeah. So go check out Longlegs. It was great. We loved it.
Yes.
And as always, it's been another episode of the Loose Leaf Media Podcast. My name is Davis Leaf. Did this with my co-host
Romanus,
and we will see you guys next week for an episode of Twisters. Assuming that I don't have the super secret episode that I've been slowly working on to get to you guys out yet. But we'll see you soon.
Bye bye.
Take care.